Hello there. What's your name?
Yes, Lindsay. Lindsay, yeah.
So you're carrying a cross on Fistral Beach. It's the first time I've seen you here. So what's it all about?
I'm trying to give away to people something that's happened in my own life.
Yes.
People see the cross, they obviously think of Jesus straight away. It's like a correlation, cross, Jesus, And what happened to me was that when I was a real youngster, I think I was 6, my mum led me in a prayer to say to Jesus, would you forgive my sins? Would you clean me? Would you come into my heart? Now, nothing really, I couldn't say it. I had an incredible experience of God then when I was 6. I didn't even know what my sins were when I was 6. But when I was 18, I really started questioning it all. And then I had an encounter with God. The guy prayed for me, and about half an hour later, the Holy Spirit came on me. I felt God's presence,
Yeah.
And that was like a turning point in my life, because I'd worked as a social worker for about 7 years with kids with problems, And I thought, what God
was that down in Devon and Cornwall? That was
in Banbury in Oxfordshire.
Yes.
And then I felt like, these kids they haven't got a dad. They don't like themselves. They're destroying themselves, if you like. They need a power stronger than social work, stronger than what a human could do for them.
Yeah.
And I left work, paid work, and I started working on the streets and working in the pubs and going around schools and colleges, just sort of telling people that there is a power stronger than ourselves, that Jesus Christ, he is alive. We can't see him like as a person walking around, but his spirit is able to come into people's hearts, into their lives, and transform their lives.
Yes.
And in '87, I put a cross together and I started walking from Land's End, actually.
Yeah.
Land's End to Plymouth. And what I found when I started walking was you just walk by a pub and people come in the pub, what's this all about? And you'd be talking about Jesus, bring the cross in the pub,
Yes.
And by the time I got to Plymouth, it was a bit like the bit in Forrest Gump where he carries on running, that bit in the film where...
So what was the feedback in Plymouth then?
Well, in Plymouth, I remember in Union Street, got attacked in Union Street.
It didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, not surprising. That was a guy whose mate had been blown up in the Falklands.
What time of night was that then?
That was late at night.
Club night.
But,
Union Street is the main club area.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you're down there late at night, you're going to get drunks and
exactly.
Not so much these days, but carry on, sorry.
Yeah, but that's, the reason why I actually think we ought to go where Jesus would have gone.
Yeah.
And Jesus mixed with people that were not all the squeaky clean, that he was mixing with people that were struggling in life, that were, rejects.
So in Union Street you got attacked by a soldier?
Yeah, he was angry that his mate had been blown up in the Falklands, and when I started sharing about Jesus, he just flipped.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Next thing I was going in circles, but
yes.
What got me was his girlfriend said, "Oh, leave him alone, you can see he's mentally ill." I'm not mentally ill, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm not the Messiah,
that's it, you got it, yeah. So then from Plymouth, I walked from Plymouth to London, and then, sort of all around Ireland, and London to Berlin to Moscow,
yes.
and Berlin to Paris, and then I started walking Sri Lanka and then Bangladesh. That was interesting. There was like crowds and crowds of people who want to know about the cross,
Yes. So which area of the world had the most effect with your cross, and which had the worst?
I would say that was actually Bangladesh. I'd say
the best.
It was both the best, and also there was times when I was really scared that there would be a reaction.
Yes.
And yet, I remember going into one, like a Muslim village, where you think there would be, antagonists. They weren't antagonistic at all. They said, what's the message of the cross?
Yes.
And they wanted to know etiki, which means what is it, And I always say, I've hit on this phrase because I believe it's true, that the cross is like a symbol of how much God loves us.
Yes.
Because I've got 2 sons. Would I allow them to die for the human race? I don't know, but God, in my book, God did.
So what are your views on, the most war-torn areas of the world seem to be the most religious?
Yeah.
So, what are your views on this, and how can you sort of transfer people into the views of religion when there's so much friction going off in the most biblical areas of the world?
Yeah. When there's wars going on, and even wars and like nearly had a fight break out when I was talking to somebody about Jesus in Newquay yesterday.
Yes.
You know, there's tension. I actually believe that there's a devil. I believe there's an evil force in this world.
Yes.
And he can get behind religion, he can get behind anything he wants to try and put people at loggerheads with each other.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't sort of leave out a contentious place. He actually, when he was around in time of Jerusalem, you know, when he was around, it was a contentious place.
Yes.
You know, so I believe that we need to be in the centre of contention, if you like,
yeah.
but coming with a totally different spirit. And that's what the cross represents, a totally different spirit. It's like God saying, I love you enough to allow my little boy to die for you at the age of 32, you know, and I want to take on the pain and the ugliness of the world on my own shoulders. That's what he did when he was dying on the cross.
Yes.
But that's so that we can start afresh, so we can say, well, there is forgiveness, there's reconciliation.
Yeah.
You know, when a person, I saw it in the streets, I prayed with this guy, there was going to be a fight, and eventually I prayed with this guy, and the guy started getting tearful. When these guys that he was going to attack just a quarter of an hour ago came back up the street, he went over and shook hands with them and said, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And to me, if that could happen internationally, if that could happen,
it's the thinking factor behind the thought process, behind the actions. It's all important. A lot of people don't think before they react.
Exactly.
And that causes a lot of problems.
We all do, don't we?
Yeah.
And you know, I remember when I was in Bangladesh, there was a guy, he actually looked like Osmo bin Laden, I don't think he was, but he looked like him. And he said to me, he was an English teacher, and he was in the middle of nowhere, and he said, why are you Christian brothers, American Christians, why are you dropping bombs on my Muslim brothers?
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, you know, can I just answer from my stomach, from my heart? And I said, you know, when I see a Muslim mother crying over a child that's been killed by an American bomb,
yes,
my heart is stirred. I feel I want to cry. But then I want to cry when you see an American mother who's crying over her American son,
yeah,
who's been killed in combat. You
yeah.
know, my heart is stirred. Then I feel, you know, broken. I feel upset. And the guy said under his breath, because my friend translated what he said. He said, "I can see this is a man of compassion."
Yes.
And we need that. We need
I think that's obvious.
Well, we need this
yes.
kind of like worldwide. We need. There is so much. You know, I don't know about you. When you watch the TV, you think there's a world war going on now, but it's not.
Well, no.
You know.
Well, you've been abroad, and you realise that the UK is bombarded with negative propaganda, and it's a form of keeping the population under control, whether it be the press or the politics or the law. And it's based on total hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And you know, I keep saying that we're supposed to be one of the freest countries in the world. Well, if that is so, well, why are so many people criminalised? More people are criminalised in the UK than the rest of Europe. There's something seriously wrong with the system when they just lock people up instead of trying to understand what's going on and what the issues are behind why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's really where I spend all my time, like, individually talking with people, you know,
yes.
and I see, I want to bring love into that person's life.
Yes.
You know, you can bring human love, which is good,
yeah.
but I also want to bring the love of God.
Yeah.
And the love of Jesus. I want to see lives transformed, you know.
Yeah.
And thankfully I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands in my time over the 40 years I've been following Jesus.
Yes.
I've met so many people whose eyes are shining with joy, who tell me a story how their life was messed up with drugs or broken relationships, and now they found Jesus.
Well, it's now called compound the problem, because they can't think rationally about anything. I mean, that's what politics is all about. You know, I worked for NATO for 3 years in Brussels, and politics is all about people undermining each other with large amounts of alcohol. So a lot of what goes on is totally irrational, and it's showing now within politics in the UK. You know, so
that's why I love Jesus, because this guy, Jesus Christ, he went right against the crowd, totally opposite direction. He said, "Look, I want you to love one another."
Can I just tell you something I wrote a few years ago? Jesus was a hoodie. He grew his hair too long, talked to a bunch of losers, caused political alarm. He should have had an ASBO for breach of the peace, threat to the system with his choice of speech. And that sums up anybody that stands out from the crowd are classed as a rebel or, like you said earlier on, or mentally unstable. And it's a way of justifying and controlling the people that are challenging.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But thanks a lot for that anyway.
Okay, mate.
So, Hello there. What's your name?
Yes, Lindsay. Lindsay, yeah.
So you're carrying a cross on Fistral Beach. It's the first time I've seen you here. So what's it all about?
I'm trying to give away to people something that's happened in my own life.
Yes.
People see the cross, they obviously think of Jesus straight away. It's like a correlation, cross, Jesus, And what happened to me was that when I was a real youngster, I think I was 6, my mum led me in a prayer to say to Jesus, would you forgive my sins? Would you clean me? Would you come into my heart? Now, nothing really, I couldn't say it. I had an incredible experience of God then when I was 6. I didn't even know what my sins were when I was 6. But when I was 18, I really started questioning it all.